Down in southern Portugal, right where the Atlantic Ocean crashes into the Mediterranean Sea, a really fascinating project is starting to take shape. And at first glance, yeah, it looks like a super ambitious eco-village. But if you dig just a little bit deeper, you start to realize it might just be the ignition point for something that could, well, it could change everything.
And that really brings us to the core question we're going to try to answer today. Could a tiny off-grid community in Portugal actually hold the blueprint for global peace? I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but the plan they've laid out is surprisingly concrete.
All right, let's start at the beginning with the foundation. We're in southern Portugal, a place that gets a ton of sun, but also really struggles with having enough water. And this is the proving ground for a radical new experiment in total self-sufficiency.
So meet the ARQ18 Royal Oasis. What is it? Well, on paper, it's a 10-unit residential cluster that's completely off-grid. It's designed for 100% sovereignty in food, water, and energy. They're using modular construction, local materials, but the real goal here isn't just to build one village. It's to create a blueprint, a replicable model for what the architects are calling cities of stability.
And listen, this goes way, way beyond just basic survival. The vision here is to actually engineer an environment where people can truly thrive. They're literally taking their inspiration from the world's blue zones, those few places on Earth where people live the longest, healthiest lives. They want to see if they can design resource abundance and human longevity from the ground up.
Okay, but this is where things get really interesting. It's the sheer technical ambition of it all. They're not just aiming to be off-grid. They're aiming for a level of reliability that rivals the most critical infrastructure on the planet.
They're targeting 99.999% uptime for everything: energy, water, and food. Now, in the tech world, that's called 5 nines reliability. It's the standard that's usually reserved for things like, enterprise-grade data centers that can't ever go down. To apply that to a residential community, well, it's pretty much unheard of.
So how on earth do you even pull that off? It's not about inventing some magical new tech. It's about combining proven technologies in a really clever way. So for energy, the backbone is a Tesla Powerwall microgrid. For water, they're using generators that literally pull moisture right out of the air. Food is grown with this high-yield vertical farming called fogponics, and the whole thing is tied together and monitored remotely using Starlink. It's a completely closed-loop system, built for insane reliability.
And this just shows how real the planning is. They've already mapped out 3 different ways to get this pilot built, based on the budget. You could go for an ultra-low entry option, a top-of-the-line high-reliability build, or what they recommend, the balanced hybrid. And that one's kind of the sweet spot, mixing that high-end Tesla tech with proven agricultural technology to get the best bang for your buck. You see, this isn't just some fantasy, it's a full-on business plan.
But here's the twist. This little cluster of homes is so much more than just a place to live. There's this quote deep in the project's framework that reveals the true ambition. This is not a peace agreement, it is a peace economy. And that one line, that signals a massive, massive shift in scale and purpose.
So here's the crucial part. The pilot in Portugal is designed to be the physical ignition point for a much, much larger global system. So let's take a look at how that engine is actually supposed to work.
At the heart of this entire thing is one simple but incredibly profound idea: engineered economic interdependence. The logic is pretty straightforward. What if you could actually make peace generate a higher financial return than conflict? If you can pull that off, war suddenly becomes economically irrational. It becomes a form of mutual self-destruction. This system is trying to change human behavior not with armies, but with balance sheets.
They call this whole process the peace flywheel. And like any flywheel, once you get it spinning, it's designed to keep itself going. It's a 4-step cycle. Step 1. You manufacture food, which builds real, tangible trust. You can literally eat it. Step 2, you tokenize that trust, so every unit of food becomes a verified digital asset. Step 3, that verified performance attracts serious investment capital. And then Step 4, you reinvest that capital to expand the infrastructure, which makes peace even more profitable. That little site in Portugal, it's just the first push to get this massive wheel spinning.
Okay, so how do you go from a tiny village in Portugal to a global financial system? Let's take a look at the architecture they've designed for this.
And the scale here is almost impossible to wrap your head around. The target is a $30 trillion fund. That's trillion with a T. It's structured as a real estate investment trust, a REIT, which is just a normal way to invest in large-scale property.
The whole point is to turn peace into a stable, boringly reliable asset class that huge players, like pension funds, would actually want to invest in for the long haul.
So how do you govern a system that big? Well, you don't do it with force. You do it with automatic financial consequences. A central AI platform basically acts like the system's nervous system. It constantly prices the risk of different regions around the world. So if a country starts to destabilize, capital automatically flows out and insurance costs go through the roof. But if it stabilizes, capital floods right back in. It's designed to make reckless behavior financially suicidal.
And all that capital, it gets invested in building these enormous industrial hubs they call Stargate campuses. Just think of them as shared utility centers for entire regions. They combine AI data centers, power plants, water plants, and massive food production facilities, all in one place. And by sharing these critical survival systems across borders, you create that powerful economic interdependence we were talking about.
So, let's bring this all full circle. Let's connect the dots from that small plot of land in Portugal all the way to the global vision it's supposed to spark. This slide really brings it all home. On one side, you have the seed, a small €1 million oasis in Portugal, just to prove that this level of self-sufficient resilience is even possible. And on the other side, you have the grand vision, a $30 trillion global peace economy. It's the journey from a few vertical farms feeding 10 families to massive infrastructure hubs supporting entire nations. It's a journey from a tangible proof of concept to what its creators believe is an inevitable economic outcome.
Which leaves us with one final and pretty provocative question. This entire, massive, complicated system is built on a single, simple equation. If peace pays more than war, war goes away. So, if they're right, if they can actually change the fundamental math of human civilization, what happens next?